Hey everyone, welcome back to the episode of C Gonna Speed 252. I want to thank you for pushing that play button. If this is your first time coming to the channel, my name is Clarence and I would love for you to subscribe along with the rest of the community. You guys are awesome, you guys are great, and I want to take you on this journey with us. Also, please push that bell button. Now, if you push that bell button, you will get a notification for any time I release a new video, but if you push that bell button, you won't hear a sound, so I'm just letting you know that right now. But anyways, once again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for pushing that play button. For all my followers who would like to see me on November 30th, I will be at Virginia Raceway, pretty much Virginia International Raceway, which is called VIR. It is a track day. Anybody can put their car on a track that day. And I don't think you have to bring a helmet, actually. And I look forward to seeing you out there. The only way I will not be out there is if it's raining. Outside of that, if the weather is nice out, I will plan to be there. And I look forward to seeing you and meeting you. And I had a few followers mention if I was going to bring some merch, which we'll probably bring some merch as well. Not a lot, because I need my car to be light as possible so I can make sure I have the most fun as possible. Hey everyone, welcome back to the episode of C Gonna Speed 252. If this is your first time stopping by, please subscribe to the channel. My name is Clarence. Shout out to my man Adventure TV 919 for helping me record this today. And please push that bell button so your notification anytime I release any new videos. I love to take you on this journey with us. And please excuse all the loud trucks, because I can't do anything about that. But anyways, today behind me I have a Corvette Stingray, one of the best selling Corvettes in the nation. And if you're interested in this car, please check out Hendrick and Cary Auto Mall in North Carolina. They have plenty of Corvettes there. This one will definitely be on a lot. And if you're interested today, definitely give them a call. So I have a lot of followers ask me, how come you haven't driven a Corvette Stingray yet? You did driven a Grand Sport, which I currently have. I've driven a Z06 and I have not driven a Z01. I would love to. But I want to make this video on this Corvette Stingray because this is the #1 selling Corvette in the country. And there's a reason why it's #1 selling Corvette in the country, due to price, due to a number of other things. And there's some interesting quirks and features that I want to talk about this car compared to the other Corvettes that you probably don't even need. For starters, the first thing when I see a Corvette, I think about the pristine name behind it. I think of the horsepower behind it. I think of the great, awesome price point you can get, and you'll be able to compete with any other sports car out there pretty much. But the one thing that stands out to me is completely different from all the other Corvettes is the spoiler right here. This is completely different spoiler from a Grand Sport and a Z06. Now, there's definitely nothing wrong with the spoiler. You don't really need a big spoiler. This is great as it comes. The badge is the same, the Corvette is the same, and the tail lights is the same. But another thing that's completely different than the Grand Sport and the Z06 is the vent right here. Now, the other vents on all the other models come up like this, and it stops pretty much right here. This one is straight flat, which is completely fine. You don't need much more than this. In this base model Corvette, you have everything you pretty much need for the awesome car, I can tell you that. But you can also change this out at any given time as you want to. Now, one thing that I'm gonna say overall with this car compared to a Grand Sport and Z06 is that with a Grand Sport and Z06, you get a wider body. With a Stingray, you get a narrower body. But it doesn't really mean much. In my personal opinion, I have seen a Stingray race a Grand Sport, and they both was head and head. And to be completely honest with you, the Stingray was a little bit ahead of the Grand Sport because the Stingray was a little bit lighter, not having the extra body parts as the Grand Sport does. But another thing I want to point out that's completely different from all the other model Corvettes is the badging. The Stingray badge in here is completely different. You know, if you have a Grand Sport, you'll see Grand Sport there. If you have a Z06, you'll have Z06 there as well. But it's completely fine. You don't really need that. A badge is just a badge at the end of the day, but you're still driving an awesome Corvette. One thing that's completely the same is the headlights. I love the LED headlights in these cars these days. It's a lot better. The vents here are the same. The badges are the same. But one thing that stands out is completely different is the grille slash bumper. Now, this is the only bumper you would get in any Stingray, regardless of whether it's a base model, whether it's a 2LT, etc., etc. This was standard as it get. Another thing that doesn't come with the Stingray is the front end splitter. Now, it's something that you really don't need. In my personal opinion, it looks great. You can buy it aftermarket. You can order from Chevrolet. But at the end of the day, it does not come with the base model Stingray. But this is a great car, and it's something that's just added to the car that you really don't need, in my personal opinion. But it is something that is not there that you can get at some other time. One other thing I want to point out that this car has is awesome. It has awesome suspension. It doesn't come with magnetic ride suspension because it's not a track car. And if you're interested in a track car, you know, you can get a Z51, a Corvette Grand Sport, or a Z06. But the rotors are completely different on this car than is the other cars. Now, as you can tell, the rotors here aren't slotted and they aren't drilled. And you don't really need it with a Corvette Stingray because it only has 455 horsepower, which is plenty of horsepower for an average day driver. I know in a Grand Sport you have 460 horsepower, and in Z06 you have 650 horsepower, and in ZR1 you have 755. At the end of the day, we all got to abide by the speed limit. If the speed limit is 55, whether you have a 455 horsepower car or a 755 horsepower car, we still all have to go 75. So my point is, the Stingray is a great car at the end of the day, no matter what trim level you get. But this base model Stingray is awesome for the price, and which is why it is the best selling Corvette that's out there now. So I want to talk about some interesting quirks and features that's inside the car that I want to point out to you that doesn't come in other trim levels. But at the end of the day, do you really need those extra interesting features? So let's go ahead and hop in the car and take a look at those. So for the most part, inside a Corvette, they're pretty much all standard. They're all the same. There are a few things here and there that's completely different depending on the trim level. But once again, this is the base model, and pretty much I believe this is all you truly need. If I had it all to do it over again, I think the base model is something I would go with. Perfect example. The car starts the same exact way, and you shut it off the same exact way. Now, one thing that I also think is the same is the Bose speaker. The Bose speakers is an awesome sound feature. I mean, it is great. I'll tell you what now, one of my friends got in my car who owns a Camaro, and he said, man, your sound system sounds a lot better than mine. I don't know what the difference is between the sound system in the Corvette and the Camaro, but I know these Bose speakers make me feel like I'm in a surround sound, make it feel like I'm in a theater, and I think that's the sound that they're going for. The screen is technically the same in all Corvettes, but what could be different is depending on the apps and the things that you download in your car as well. One thing this base model doesn't have, which I really truly don't think you need, is heated and cooled seats. Those features are located usually right here. I have those in my car. I use them here and there. It's not something that is much needed. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't worry about that. If you take a look inside the glove box, which is something simple, you pretty much have the same amount of space as well. There ain't too many differences. The only difference is that there's a slot over here if you're planning to track your car, which you have a PDR, and you will slide an SD card in here. But for the most part, you can totally track your Grand Sport, but you don't really need the PDR recorder. So like I said, the base model is all you truly need. So let me go on and crank the car up and show you some of the same features. So one feature that some of the followers asked me is there any difference between the mode select button between a Corvette Stingray and a Corvette Grand Sport, and there is any difference. I'm going to show you that here today. So if you take a look at this mode select button here, this controls pretty much any mode you want to be in when you're driving this car, and this actually controls the traction button as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the select modes. So right now I'm currently in tour mode. And if I turn this button one time to the right, it goes to sport mode. If I turn this button one time to the right again, it goes into track mode. So you can track this car if you want to, like I said before, but you don't have to. And when I turn it right one more time, it goes into weather mode. Now, I don't advise you to drive this car in the snow. You don't want to do that these days, but it's your car, so you do whatever you want to do with it. And at the end of the day, this car definitely has all the other features like eco mode, which is what I'm usually driving when I go see my friends, when we're driving out of town and things like that. But I can tell you this. The Corvette Stingray is one of the best cars you can buy for the money, for the performance, and all the features you really need. And once again, if you need an awesome looking car, the Corvette is all you really need at the end of the day. So I just want to pretty much give you an overall view of me driving this car. Now there isn't really much different from my Grand Sport at Z06 driving this car. I'm currently right now in sport mode, and when you're in sport mode, the suspension tightens up just a little bit to give you that real good feeling of just being in technically a sports car, in my opinion. Overall, this car is really truly all you freaking need, honestly, at the end of the day. You know, you can hit it. My car sounds just the same, and that sounds really good. I love hearing that sound. So this car with 455 horsepower can definitely get up. So you can feel everything. I mean, that feels absolutely amazing. And like I said before, if you're in the market for a base model, this is all you need. It pretty much drives the same as my Corvette Grand Sport. And if I had to do all over again, I would totally buy a Stingray. And there's nothing wrong with buying a Stingray because it's a great American-made sports car at the end of the day. I think Chevrolet did a great job with the C7. Once again, I thank you for watching this video. I thank you for pushing that play button. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do. If you have any other videos that you think you would like me to make, please leave those comments down below, and I would love to make them as well. And once again, I look forward to seeing another episode of C Gonna Speed 252.